Uh, Thank you so much for that introduction. And Namri Bukbuk is the greeting I have for you this evening. How is everyone? My name is Linda, and I'm of the Wiradjuri Nation of southwestern New South Wales. There's only one thing you need to understand about the Wiradjuri, is don't argue with the women. From my people, the people of the Three Rivers and the Great Western Plains, the Kalari or the Lachlan, the Wamble or the Macquarie, and the Murrumbidgeri, and I am of the Murrumbidgeri Wiradjuri. I pay my respects to the Gummidge, Yuthu Yindi, and Yolngu Bala, and to all the clans of North East Arnhem Land and their Dalak leaders. I acknowledge the people of the Yolngu Nation, to elders past and present, and to all senior people here tonight, both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal, and a particular acknowledgement, of course, to Jack Thompson. And I extend that respect to all Indigenous people here from all points of the southern sky. To Jawa Yunupingu and the entire Yunupingu family, to Denise and Sean Bowden, to the Telstra sponsors, particularly Vicky Brady. I'd like to recognise the Chief Minister of the Northern Territory and my parliamentary colleagues, to Danny Gilbert and many others. To Vicky Treadle from the British High Commission, thank you so much for being here. There's a lot of acknowledgements, but it is important that we do these things on a night like tonight. And of course, for all of your tummies, thank you to Jimmy Chu and the many volunteers that are working away. Behind that mysterious erection there, the fence, and also to the very, very many volunteers. Thank you very much. It's great to be back here in Garma, and I thank everyone else for being here. To Mayor Tilly, that was an absolutely brilliant speech, and I really think I'll always remember the earth is our mother, but the land is our backbone, and Jambush, of course, is something that we all must take into our hearts over the next few months. And thank you so much for such a powerful speech. A huge thank you to Mayor Tilly. As Mayor Tilly reminded us, this year we're staying true to the vision of Goa as a place where Australians come together and where we forge new pathways to the future. Soon, all Australians will have the opportunity to forge a new pathway to a better future for us as a nation. A few months from now, and stop asking me when, but a few months from now, we will all have that opportunity to vote at a polling booth across this vast continent. We will vote in school classrooms. We will vote in gyms. We will vote in community halls. We will vote in keeping the best of our democratic traditions. We will vote peacefully without fuss. This time, we will not be voting in an election. This time, we will vote in a referendum about the future of our country. The simple question will be asked of you: Do you support a change to the Constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice? Yes or no? And what will you all say?
Yes!
What will you all say?
Yes!
Once more.
Yes!
That's it. Very good. It is a simple question, and we will be asked it. And we will respond with that jumbush that Mayor Tilley spoke of. We will respond in a way to take our country forward. It is about recognition through a voice. Recognition that will complete our national story. Recognition, as Noel Pearson says, will build our greatest bridge, connecting the songlines of our history. Because for too long, we as a country have not recognised First Peoples as the First Peoples of Australia. It's time, everyone, to change that. It's time to celebrate and share 65,000 years of history, culture and tradition. And importantly, it's time to make a practical difference to future generations, because in the words of the Uluru Statement, when we have power over our destiny, our children will flourish. They will walk in two worlds, and their culture will be a gift to their country. These are the hopes and aspirations of Indigenous Australians as expressed in the Uluru Statement. We cannot continue doing what we have been doing for decades. We can't be satisfied when just 4 of the 19 Closing the Gap targets are on track. We cannot be satisfied when there is an 8-year life expectancy gap. We cannot be satisfied when suicide rates in our communities are doubled. We can and we must do better. The Voice, everyone, gives us that chance to do better. Nobody thinks that The Voice will fix every problem overnight, but it will bring about structural change that will mean we finally have the right structures in place. Friends, we have within our grasp the chance to make a lasting, practical change. A change that will move Australia forward, and we must seize that moment together. Let's seize this moment for future generations and for our elders, and for giants like Yunupingu. This is, of course, the first Garma without him physically, but he is here. I can see his legacy in this extraordinary gathering, and I know we feel his presence every day when we make the case for recognition. Yunupingu once said, "As I see it, the nation is at an important crossroads. Either a real process of settlement will now take shape, or the nation will turn its back on these issues." Yunupingu was born in 1948, but it wasn't until 1962, with the passage of the Commonwealth Electoral Act, that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people had the opportunity to enrol and vote in federal elections. A year later, everyone, in 1963, Yunupingu helped to draft, as Mayor Tilley told us, the Yirrkala Bark petitions as a teenager alongside his father, his uncles and his people. And this year, of course, we celebrate at Garma the 60th anniversary of those famous bark petitions and the role they played in the land rights movement. By 1967, as Australians voted in Right the Wrongs and changed the Constitution so that, like all Australians, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people could be counted. I was 10 years old. Yunupingu was returning to country to take up a role at Dupalpa College. During the Grove land rights case, which was decided in 1972. He was working as an interpreter, ensuring his people were empowered throughout the legal proceedings. When the Gurindji people land was handed back by Whitlam in 1970 and the first land rights legislation was passed, Yunupingu was an advisor in the Whitlam government's Royal Commission into land rights here in the Northern Territory. And when Indigenous Australians were finally granted full voting rights federally in 1984, I remember it so well. It's when I started to vote. Yunupingu was chairman of the Northern Land Council. And when the Uluru Statement was issued in 2017, he played a role, as did this community, along with 250 elders and leaders from across the country. In his own words, Yunupingu said, "At Uluru, we started a fire we hope burns bright for Australia." In his last year, he was a member of the referendum working group, advising me and the government on the way forward to the referendum. Yunupingu is gone, but the Gotha, the great tongue of flame and truth which spoke to us, still exists. And it lights the path ahead of us. It lights the path ahead to this referendum. It lights the path to a better future for our people. Throughout his life, Yunupingu was the rock that stands against time. He saw struggle and progress like so many others. He teaches us that change depends on our actions. Change depends on our attitudes. He did not believe in the avoidance of uncomfortable truths. He was cynical about what was possible. If you can take away anything from your experience here in Arnhem Land, let it be this: you have the power to make change with your actions. We will do it. And when it comes to recognition and giving some of the most disadvantaged members of our country a say in their future, we can make that change by voting yes. Do not leave this unfinished business to future generations. It is for us now. Yesterday, I had the great privilege of meeting with the Dadak Council. The Dadak Council brings together the senior cultural leaders of the 13 clan groups here in North East Arnhem Land in a formal decision-making body. It is based on traditional governance. It is based on the concept of self-determination. The Dadak Council is a good example of when you listen to locals, you get better results. And I believe that by listening to the national voice, we can get better results. I also want to be clear about what exactly the voice is. The voice will be a committee of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. The voice will be a committee that gives advice to the Parliament and the government on issues that affect our community. It will include Indigenous Australians from every state and territory, the Torres Strait and representation from regions and remote communities. Members of The Voice will be chosen by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in their local areas and serve for a fixed period. It is what Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have asked for. And as you heard the Prime Minister today, we will keep our commitment. People have asked to be heard and asked to be recognised. It will be chosen by local communities for local communities. I believe it will lead to better results because we know that listening to people from the grassroots level leads to a better outcome. And I want to reiterate, from day one, The Voice will have a very full in-train. If the referendum is successful, and it will be, I will ask The Voice to consider 4 main priority areas: health, education, jobs and housing. The Voice will be tasked with taking a long view, not the short term. It will be a plan for the next generation, not the next term. Everyone, the time is now. I also want to say a few words about the business community. You have an important role to play in this referendum. I know that many organisations here tonight have reconciliation action plans. These plans can and should be used to help inform your employees of the decision that Australians will make about constitutional recognition later this year. Our well-informed citizenry is good for democracy because it means that people are armed with the facts and not misled by misinformation. Can I finish up by saying these few things? So much of the debate about The Voice has been overshadowed by politics. But I want to say to you tonight that the time for politics is over. It's not about Anthony Albanese versus Peter Dutton. It never was. It's time to focus on what really matters. It's time to focus on how we can all make a difference to improving lives of some of the most disadvantaged people in this country. This referendum is about the future of Australia. It's about uniting Australia. It's about bringing people together, and the choice could not be clearer. If we say no, we are accepting that things cannot get better. Those arguing for no are offering no solutions. But if we find it in our hearts, and our heads to say yes, then we can take the next step forward as a country. In the words of the Prime Minister at last year's Garma festival, I am hopeful. In the years to come, when we gather here at Garma, we will be able to measure that success not just by the number of people who vote yes, but by the lives that The Voice helps to change, the communities it empowers, the opportunities it creates, the justice it delivers, the security it will bring to First Nations people around our country. I am determined for us to succeed in this great project, and working together with humility, with hope, I am absolutely sure that we can. Friends, history is calling us. It is time. We will work together and we'll get this thing done. Thank you.